Says I'm live. So here we go. It is late. I am tired. So we're going to try to make this as brief as we possibly can. So, first things first, it's been a debate as long as society has been around, really, which is correct. The mythological tales of gods and devils, or cold hard science. Can one exist without the other? Do they both exist? Can only one exist? Do neither exist? That's what we're going to discuss starting right now. So, first of all, if we're going to discuss things like gods and reality, we have to ask ourselves the first question: where did we come from? What started it all? Well, if we ask the experts, the scientists, the majority of them will tell you that it was the Big Bang. Okay? The Big Bang. So if we open up a handy dandy computer and we go to Google and we ask Google, how did the universe begin? I'm going to do that right now on my phone, actually. And we're going to see what Google says started it all. Now, keep in mind, this is Google AI. So, out of all of the information that Google has access to, which is vast, a very vast amount of information, all of the information Google has, their AI is going to cycle through all of that. And it's going to tell us, uh, in general, what the consensus is for the start of the universe. It has access to scientific research papers, journals, all sorts of documentaries, geniuses, authors, crazy people as well are included. But what is the consensus? Let's find out. How did the universe begin? And Google says the universe was created approximately 13.8 billion years ago from an extremely hot, dense singularity in an event known as the Big Bang. This is considered the fact. Okay. Now, just to prove it to you, right there, the universe was created approximately 13.8 billion years ago from an extremely hot, dense singularity, an event known as the Big Bang. Okay, so that is the truth. It doesn't say that there's any argument at all. I'm looking down this, and this is all proven fact according to science. The universe is still expanding. Nobody is arguing with us at all, according to Google. That's good to know. Thank you, Google, for such intense information. The Big Bang started it all, folks. That's all we need to know. We can end it there. Except if you look up what caused the Big Bang. Now, I'm going to type what caused the Big Bang. And okay, look. So, right here, the Big Bang was likely caused by the end of an inflationary phase, a period of rapid, exponential expansion of space time rather than a traditional explosion. So, space time is what caused the Big Bang, according to Google. Okay, space time. Now, as we know, space and pretty much everything that exists is uh, is made of a specific thing. Now, that thing is energy. Now, this is something that Einstein discovered long ago. Now, what is this? We might ask. So, what I'm going to ask Google now: is all matter made of energy? Okay, and we get right there. Yes, according to Einstein's principle of mass energy equivalence, E equals mc squared, matter is a highly concentrated form of energy. Okay. Now I'm going to scroll through this. Is anyone debating this at all? Is this a proven scientific fact or is there any debate? I'm looking down. Nope. According to Google AI, there is no debate on this as well. That is a proven fact. All matter is made of energy. So, what is space and time? Are space and time made of energy? Let's find out. Time made. No, stop autocorrecting my words. Made of energy. Are space and time made of energy? Here we get space and time are generally considered the framework in which energy and matter exist, rather than being made of energy itself. So, space and time are what energy exists inside of. Okay. Now, is energy, has energy always existed? So, if space and time are essentially what created energy with this Big Bang, has energy always existed? Let's find out. And we get, whoa, I just dropped my phone. That it's not good for those folks. Dropping your phones is actually really, really bad for them. I highly recommend you do not do it at any point. Okay. Uh-oh, what did I do? Okay, there we go. Okay, so has energy always existed? And we get this. Whether energy has always existed is a subject of intense scientific and philosophical debate, as it depends on whether the universe is considered eternal or had a beginning, the Big Bang. Now, I'm just going to continue reading off of this, so it's a little bit easier for me to read, and you can't probably read it very well on the camera anyway. But while the law of conservation of energy states, now this is a scientific proven law, the law of conservation of energy, states that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It is unknown if this rule applied at the moment of the Big Bang. Now, and again, according to Google AI, Big Bang limitation, so you can see it right there, Big Bang limitation. Many scientists believe the universe, including time and space, began roughly 13.8 billion years ago. If time itself started then there was no before for energy to exist. Well, what exactly is time and space? You must ask yourself. So that's going to be the next thing that we ask. What is space? Or let's ask space time. Let's see what space time is, because I think it's supposed to be fit space time, right? Okay, so what is space time? Right here. Space time is a fundamental 4D physical framework merging, not emerging, merging three-dimensional space with one-dimensional time into a single continuum. What the hell does that mean? So space-time is a fundamental four-dimension physical framework. So that means that space-time, which created energy, which everything is made of, including you and me, is only four-dimensional. So when you hear a lot of other scientists saying that there's, like six, seven, eight, nine, 10, a billion dimensions where the people can travel into other dimensions, well, there's only four of them, and we exist in three of them. That means there's only one other dimension that even exists. Well, what could that dimension possibly be? I don't know. Maybe if we keep reading, we'll find out. And I'm not being sarcastic. I really don't know. But we'll keep reading, and hopefully we will find out. Um, Now, I have a theory, of course, but I don't know. Keep in mind. Anyway, so again, space time. So this is the thing, according to science, according to the undisputed Big Bang theory, that nobody has ever disputed it at any point. No, every single scientist all agree on this, according to Google. And so, big. Just to recap again before we get into this, the Big Bang was caused by space time, and that's what created energy. And all matter is made of energy. So space time was the, you could say, well, that's the question. Is it sentient? Is space time sentient? Is it a creator, or is it an inanimate thing that just happened to create? We're going to go back to Google's explanation of space time now. Space time is a fundamental 4D physical framework. That means it is most likely not sentient if it's just a physical framework. But if it's a physical framework, how does it have physicality without mass, which is made of energy, which was caused by the Big Bang? That doesn't make much sense. Now let's think that through again. So space-time is a fundamental four-dimensional physical framework, merging three-dimensional space with one-dimensional time into a single continuum. So it sounds like space work is a fundamental four-dimensional physical framework, which means it's a thing that exists. And as we define a thing that exists, that means it must be made of mass to be a physical thing. Because energy isn't a physical thing, or is it? Do we even know? Let's find out. We're going to open up a new tab for this one because this one is going to be interesting. So I want to keep the old one. So is energy physical? Let's find out. Is energy a physical framework? Because otherwise it won't work quite as well as we were hoping. Is energy a physical framework? Yes, energy is a fundamental physical framework and property in physics, defined as the quantitative capacity of a physical system to work or induce change. It is not a material object, but a conserved, transferable, and measurable property of matter and fields. Now, that's interesting as an explanation because it says that it's a measurable property of matter and fields, but the fields are energy fields. The fields are made of energy, but the energy is a measurable property of the field. So it's a measurable property of the thing that it is. That's a weird way of wording it. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like that's a very strange way of wording things. I mean, what? Again, it is not a material energy, is not a material object, but a conserved, transferable, and measurable property of matter and fields. Energy is what creates matter, and fields are made of energy. They're energy fields. So, energy, which makes up matter and fields, is made of matter and fields. You would think that they would have something that sounds even remotely sensible to try to explain this to us. To me, this sounds like they really have no idea what energy is. Because if they did, this wouldn't be a complete roundabout thought circuit. It's made of the thing that it is, and you know that it's the thing that it is because it's made of the thing that it's made from, which is the thing that it is. It's nonsensical. Okay, I don't. Hmm. Again, energy is a fundamental physical framework and property. You can see it for yourself right there. It's one section. Yes. Let me see if I can hold my hand still. Yes, energy is a fundamental physical framework and property in physics, defined as the quantitative capacity of a physical system to do work or induce change. It is not a materials object, but a conserved, transferable, and measurable property of matter and fields, existing in various forms like kinetic and potential. What? That's the same thing. It's made of itself. It's essentially just a closed circuit, a repetitive thought loop. Okay. So if energy is made of energy, which is made of energy, that's a whole rabbit trail. I don't even know what to make of that. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. That's we're gonna go back to space time. That's because that's a less complicated thought loop. So again, space time is a fundamental 4D physical framework. So the thing that created energy, which is a fundamental physical framework, is itself a fundamental physical framework. And these, wait, hold up. This gets funny. Okay, so space-time is a fundamental 4D physical framework merging three-dimensional space with one-dimensional time into a single continuum. So this means that there are four dimensions in total, which are length, width, and height, which are the 3D we all know, and time. Those are the only four dimensions. There are no more than four dimensions according to this. That is one of Albert Einstein's theories of relativity. Now, this is also a proven fact according to the Big Bang Theory, as we already stated, because space time is what caused the Big Bang Theory, which created energy and everything else. So, this says that it reveals that space and time are not separate, static, or absolute, but are flexible, interconnected, and bendable by mass. But that doesn't make sense because space time is what created mass. So, if space time is none of this actually makes any sense at all, right? So I don't really understand how they get to these conclusions because if you get all the way back to the Big Bang and it's what created everything, but you need those things that it created to create the thing that did the creating. All of this is starting to seem like a really just big roundabout way of saying they don't know what where everything came from. Let's find out. Is time Does time have a beginning? Did time have a beginning? Would be the next one I think we should discuss. Did time always exist? Whether time has always existed is a subject of debate in physics and cosmology. The standard Big Bang model suggests that space time began with the universe 13.8 billion years ago, meaning time did not exist before. However, modern theories, including quantum gravity and cyclical models, explore the possibility of a timeless state or a time before the Big Bang. So they don't know. The argument here between the scientists then is, was there time before the Big Bang? Because the traditional model states that the Big Bang caused space and time to be created. But the new model says that space and time created the Big Bang. Now, if we Google, according to the big what I just lost my entire train of thought. Don't you hate it when that happens? But so the argument is, so let's just look up what the Big Bang Theory is. The Big Bang Theory. Just to be clear on what Google says, we want, as balanced of a answer as we can get. So the Big Bang Theory is the leading scientific explanation for the origin of the universe, proposing it began 13.8 billion years ago from an extremely hot dense point, which is a singularity. Well, to be hot, you would have to have energy, which would mean that energy created the Big Bang. But except that they just told us that energy was created by the Big Bang. Anyway, so it describes a rapid expansion of space, time, and matter, which were all things created by the Big Bang, according to science. So again, the Big Bang Theory is the leading scientific explanation proposing the universe began 13.8 billion years ago. From an extremely hot, dense point, it describes the rapid expanse of space, time, and matter, resulting in a cooling universe that continues to expand today. So the explanation of where space, time, and matter came from is a Big Bang, which was created by space, time, and matter. Hmm. Does that make sense to any of y'all out there? Let me know. By please in the comments. If you're watching this in the comments, by all means, let me know if that makes a lick of sense to you. That space, time, and matter created the Big Bang, which is what created space, time, and matter. It says that over and over and over and over again. And again, there it is right there, right at the bottom above the little link to NASA. That is the official NASA statement, by the way. You can see it. Right there, the little link to the source material, NASA plus 5. But that's the primary source is NASA right there. And you would think that Google, being an intelligent AI, would give us the most accurate information first, which would be that right there. Because if NASA knows what they're talking about, it would give you what NASA says, because that's the most, respectable source of information, right? So, according to that right there, the Big Bang Theory created everything, which then created the Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang, I mean, I don't know why I put theory in there. The theory is that the Big Bang, it's still called a theory, of course, because it's never been proven because it's, complete nonsense. But so yeah, but according to Google and NASA, the Big Bang created the things that then created the Big Bang. It's wild. So the only thing that makes sense is if there was some sort of something before this Big Bang. Let's even pretend that we're not going to talk about time, space, or matter because that's we're not even going to pretend we know what created it. Let's just say I think personally the most reasonable thing is that energy existed and has always existed because it is a scientific law of conservation and mass. We already talked about earlier. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Badoo, badoo. Energy. I think I already deleted that, but when I looked it up, it did say that energy can't be destroyed at all, just change to a different form. That's the law of conservation and mass. We know that is a fundamental fact about our current reality. The only question is, was that also true about the reality to before, if there was any reality before? Now, the question is, if there wasn't anything before and all of a sudden stuff just appeared from nothing, how? If there was nothing there, then something happened. How did just something appear from nothing? Science has never explained that. But religion has an explanation, which says it didn't appear from nothing. Religion says energy always existed. Now, that is one of the leading theories among the scientific community as well, is that energy has always existed even before the Big Bang or, whatever beginning of our reality whenever the beginning was, there's only two options. Either energy did exist or it didn't exist. Something had to have caused, if the Big Bang is real, something had to have caused it. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened. So there had to have been some kind of energy before the Big Bang. It's just a logical conclusion to come to. It's the only logical conclusion to come to, really. So if energy did exist before the Big Bang, which is, again, the leading scientific theory, the only question then that divides religion and science is that energy sentient? That's it. Because if that energy is sentient, then it knowingly created everything. And it knows itself. If it is the universe, it knows everything about itself. So it would then, in fact, be God the creator. If that energy is sentient, every religion that ever talked about gods and the creator that created the gods would be correct. All of them, or at least a good amount of them, because if the energy that existed before a Big Bang or whatever creation story you want to subscribe to, if there was an energy before that and that energy happened to be conscious of itself, that means that that was a living energy. And if we are all created, this Big Bang happened and then all of reality was created by that energy. That means that that energy is essentially what makes us up. It means we are a part of that energy. So, like if Jesus, for example, in the New Testament says, whatever you do to the least of these, you have done to me, he's essentially saying, because we are all part of this same energy, whatever you do to another part of this energy, you're essentially harming the grand scheme of things. Oop, I accidentally hit some bells. But then you're accidentally harming the grand scheme. You're actually trying to attack God in a sense, you could say, if that's, but because energy can't be destroyed, it can only change forms. But if it's conscious of itself, it can continually change forms at will, which means there's literally nothing that you could do to it that would change it at all, making the God of the Hebrew Bible the exact description of what modern science says energy before the Big Bang would be if it were sentient. So the only debate over is there a God is was that energy sentient or not? I believe it was. I believe it was sentient, and I believe it created all that there is, and I believe it did it in 7 days. I believe that full heartedly, wholeheartedly. I don't know why I said full heartedly. It means the same thing, but You ever notice that full-heartedly, nobody ever says that, but wholeheartedly, that's fine. Strange, weird language things. I'm a big language guy, but that's one of those strange things that. Anyway, back to the topic. So we were again talking about religion versus science. So science essentially says the beginning of the universe, it either was just some strange happenstance that energy happened to create itself, in a manner of speaking. There was just this blatant energy just kind of there, and then for no apparent reason, it just blew up and created everything. Does does that make sense at all? Doesn't it make more sense that energy was sentient and then it knowingly just started doing this stuff? That makes a lot more sense to me. But I'll leave that up to you. Now, if you are interested in going and listening to experts, doctors, PhDs talk about this, and people looking up, quotes from Einstein, a more educated uh, resource, I will be posting a link in the description of this video. And that link is to another YouTube video where a bunch of educated types with PhDs who you might trust more than me talk about this exact same thing, and how everything I just said is pretty factual. So, moral of the story, I believe that there is a God. I believe that energy was sentient because nothing else really makes any logical sense. And that kind of disproves the Big Bang Theory, because if there is a God and he is sentient, he is speaking to people. And all of the information that the ancient people told us about the gods is also true, which means that the Big Bang Theory is entirely false based on its own premise that it created energy and is also started by energy. It's a completely roundabout loop. The only sensible thing is that there is a God, and anyone who studies deep enough into science comes to that conclusion. And then something happens and they either shut up or disappear. So, anyway, if you like this video, feel free to look at the one I'm linking. It's also pretty interesting. That's about the only source material you'll need. Anything else you can find on your own. Google is a great resource. And I will see you on the next podcast.